Good morning, all of you. Yeah, online students, good morning. So how is life? Okay. So before I begin, any doubts from the last lecture? वीक होता है ईगो, ऑथोरिटेरियन स्टाइल में वीक होता है. वीक इसलिए होता है क्योंकि आपको लगता है कि दुनिया कभी माफ नहीं करती, जबकि ऐसा है नहीं. ईगो इज सपोज टू गिव यू द ट्रू पिक्चर ऑफ द सोशल रियलिटी. नहीं, no, it is like a spring. More you suppress it, more it uprises. ठीक है? So apart from democratic parenting, there is no way to improve and strengthen your ego. Your ego is supposed to give you the true picture of the reality. Okay. Okay. So, any more questions? Before we move ahead? वो मैं अभी आपको जब स्टेज बताऊंगा तो आपको पता चलेगा. ठीक है? Any other questions? Okay.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in the authoritative parenting style, the ego develop in the proper way. So, not in the authoritarian. I usually mistake this point.
Authoritative means democratic, right? Authoritarian means harsh and punishmentful.
Yes.
And authoritative means democratic. So authoritative is the best way of parenting the kids.
Sir, it is such kind of thing that child take decision on and parents support from with the information for that decision making. Is it like that authoritative, or the decision is taken by the parents and child?
Yes, you can say in authoritative parenting, children take confirmation before doing something. Yes. They ask the parent, is it right? And parents do respond them. Parents do guide them to tell them that yes, this is right and that is wrong. Right? So they are loved for doing good, they are punished for doing bad. And therefore they learn to distinguish between what is good and bad. You may say that. Sorry? Yeah, obviously parents are like, parents' ego is so weak that they think that rules must be followed. They don't have any independent moral, criterion to judge what is right and what is wrong. They follow the rules and conventions blindly, isn't it? They're not independent moral agents. You understand that? Yeah. Yes. Parents must also have been nurtured in the same style of parenting by their parents. Right? Any other question? Fine. So let's move ahead. There is a chat. Let me read the chat and then I move ahead. Srilekha is asking, sir, can it be said that fixation in the phallic stage causes men to commit crime of rape? No, Srilekha, don't go that way. Go with the theory. Let me first tell you what is phallic stage. I have not even started that. Right? There are no fixations in any other stage except for oral stage, right? I'm glad that you are thinking too far. Phallic stage, 6 to 11 years. And we have seen that what happens in phallic stage, the libido gets localized to the region of genitals, due to which children explore and manipulate their genitals, which is known as masturbation. And masturbation leads to formation of sexual identity. The boy child comes to know that he's a boy different from girls biologically, and the girl child comes to know she's a girl different from boys biologically. This understanding of anatomical difference between the sexes, this understanding of anatomical difference between the sexes produces within children curiosity. Curiosity towards the opposite sex. And curiosity is the first foundation stone towards sexual attraction. There cannot be any attraction without curiosity. आप देखते किस चीज की तरफ है जिसके बारे में आपको उत्सुकता है. You get attracted towards things which are closed, not towards things which are open. So I give a Hindi proverb, band ho mutti to laag ki, khul gayi to khaak ki. Right? So this curiosity, the tendency to seek the missing information, eventually converts and transforms into sexual desire towards the opposite sex. Okay? Now, Sigmund Freud has dealt what happens in the case of boys and girls separately. So in the case of boy child, we are talking about the age group between 6 to 11. The nearest female in the life of boy child is none other than his own mother. So he experiences insensuous desire, physical attraction for the mother. And this forbidden desire is produced by the animal id, who understands no rules of society, who understands no religion, who understands no morality, right? It's completely raw and forbidden. So insensuous desire for the mother is powered by id. And the moment this desire is produced, another structure of personality gets alarmed. कहीं पे अलार्म बज जाता है. कहां पे अलार्म बज जाता है? ईगो. ईगो इज द पुलिसमैन. शहर में टेररिस्ट आ गया है, रोकना है. So ego comes into action, and ego produces a fear, an anxiety to control this boy from physically advancing his mother. Khabardar, warning. This warning is known as castration anxiety produced by ego. And there begins a conflict inside the mind, which was known as Oedipus conflict. So there is a dvand, there is a conflict inside the mind between id and ego. Id produces insensuous desires for the mother, and to counter that, ego produces castration anxiety. Now, what is castration anxiety? Ego warns the id, hey, you boy, if your father comes to know about your desire, he will eliminate the cause of desire by surgically eliminating your genitals, castrating you, right? So this is the fear that ego produces in the mind of the child. And according to Freud, in the age group between 6 to 11 years, every boy, either in his dreams or in his thoughts, has killed his father once. Either in dreams or in thoughts, has killed his father once out of jealousy. Right? So boy may dream that a rat is killing a cat. Dreams are symbolic. They're disguised. So who's the rat? The boy. And who's the cat? Father. Right? And this conflict is very painful. So it cannot be held in consciousness. So it is repressed to unconscious, from where it never comes back. So no one remember the conflicts. No one will remember this conflict eventually. But this originates. And it is difficult to live with this conflict. So the boy must be able to resolve this conflict. दो कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी थॉट्स एक साथ कोएग्जिस्ट नहीं कर सकते. एक म्यान में दो तलवारें नहीं रह सकती. Getting it? So the boy child faces a challenge called Oedipus conflict. Challenge from the environment. Another challenge. So first challenge was weaning. Second challenge was toilet training. Now the third challenge, the conflict. Oedipus name has been chosen from the ancient Greek character Oedipus. So there was a ancient Greek story called Oracle of Delphi. Oracle of Delphi. Delphi was a Bhavishyavakta. He was a fortune teller. So Delphi made a prediction that the prince of this kingdom of Greece, the son of the king, will one day kill his father to marry his mother. Now, having learned about them, having learned about this, the king abandoned his son, and there was no connection between son and the father. And eventually the prince one day killed the king and married a girl whom the king had already married, without knowing that he was killing his father. Something like that. So from this, he took up the story of Oedipus conflict. He named it Oedipus conflict, right? Now, this conflict must be resolved. Now, how to resolve the conflict? So the boy child begins to compare himself with his father. He tries to reason out that what is the reason that my mother is attracted and married to my father and not me? What makes me inferior than my father? Why can't I be like him? Right? So what are the differences between me and my father? Okay, so my father goes to office every day. I often miss my schools. Okay? My father never lies. I often tell lies. My father will shop for the entire family before buying something for himself, but I don't even share my chocolate with my friends. Right? My father bathes every day. I often skip bathing. Are you getting my point? My father gets up at exact time every morning. I don't get up at exact time at the morning. So there are so many differences which make my father more attractive option as compared to me. So he begins to identify himself with his father. So he resolves that let me acquire the values of my father. Let me introject the values of my father and be like him, so that one day a woman like my mother gets attracted to me. Right? So the boy child will go for resolution of this conflict. And resolution is done by way of identification with the same sexed parent. In case of boy child, it is the father. So he begins to imbibe, interroject, the values of his father. So father's values, father's ideals, father's preaching and father's prophecies become self-ideals and self-prophecies. पिता का कहा हुआ पत्थर की लकीर बन जाती है. ठीक है? वो अपने लिए भी आदर्श बन जाते हैं.
Sir, okay, imbibe and
Imbibe means to make it your own values. Introject means to inject inside your personality. Okay? Internalize the father's value. So father's values and ideals becomes one's own values and ideals. So father's morality is adopted as one's own morality. And there is a proverb in Hindi language. बाप का बेटा और सिपाही का घोड़ा, कुछ नहीं तो थोड़ा थोड़ा. आप देखेंगे बाप और बेटे में रिमार्केबल सिमिलैरिटी है, और सिपाही और उसके घोड़े में भी बहुत सिमिलैरिटी. घोड़ा वही चाल चलेगा जिस चाल में उसका मास्टर होगा. मास्टर सुस्त, घोड़ा सुस्त. मास्टर चुस्त, घोड़ा चुस्त. ठीक है. And probably that's the reason that historically, whenever you apply for something, after your name, you need to mention your father's name. People may not know you. In earlier days, people would not know you because you are a young man. But people will make judgment and impression about you by knowing your father's name. अच्छा, इनका बेटा है तो ऐसा ही होगा. Especially in arranged marriages. पिताजी कौन है? अच्छा, इनका बेटा है, फलाने बाबू का बेटा है. ओके फाइन, ऐसा ही होगा. आज भी होता है या नहीं होता है? And not only in India, all over the world. Especially Spaniards. Spaniards will not give their daughters unless they know the father in marriages, right? Now, and as he identifies himself with his father, this Oedipus conflict gets resolved. So he postpones this conflict for a future state of being when he grows up into adult. Now, if you ask a person, a man who is at the age of marriage, that what kind of life partner are you expecting in your life? What type of life partner are you looking forward to? Different men will come with different choices. But one thing will emerge common from all men. She should be caring. Come on, man, you are a grown-up man. Why do you want somebody to care for you? You can take care of yourself. Are you really looking for a wife? Or are you looking for a motherly wife? You're looking for a motherly wife. So the husband is very happy when he finds that his mother and his wife are friendly. They gel well. They're mutually compatible in thoughts. They have same line of thinking, preferences. The husband is very happy. Ghar mein shanti. And the moment he finds that the mother and wife are fighting, he gets torn apart. Dharma sankat. Because mother is the first object of love. Wife is institutional love imposed by society. कसम खाया है, अग्नि के सामने प्यार करो इसको. Are you getting it? So वो torn apart हो जाता है. 5 years back, one IS officer in Ghaziabad committed suicide due to this reason, because his mother and his wife used to fight with each other. ठीक है? So how good a wife I have married to, how do the man will judge? How will the man will judge? Man will judge by the degree of resemblance with mother. Okay? So if the wife resembles mother in her thought process, in her belief system, बहुत अच्छा शादी हुआ. नहीं तो जिंदगी झंडा. ठीक है? ऐसे ही वो जजमेंट लगाएंगे. And those, according to Freud, not according to any other theory in psychology, only according to Freud. Freud said that boys who are not able to resolve this Oedipus conflict by identifying with their fathers may develop homosexuality or homosexual tendencies. So if I can't have my mother in my life, I don't want any other woman in my life. So homosexuality may develop. ठीक है? तो अरेंज मैरिज में जब लोग लड़का लड़की देखने जाते हैं तो लड़के देखते क्या है बेसिकली? उनको क्या पता लड़कियों के बारे में? बॉय स्कूल में पढ़ा है, कॉलेज गया है, लड़कियों के साथ हार्डली इंटरेक्शन है, सुपरफिशियल इंटरेक्शन हुआ होगा, और वो जा रहा है जज करने के लिए, लड़की देखने के लिए। और समय कितना मिलता है उसको? 20 मिनट। 20 मिनट में आखिर वो क्या जजमेंट करता है? वो कंपेयर करता है। मेरी माँ होती तो ऐसा बोलती, मेरी माँ तो ऐसा नहीं करती, ये तो ऐसे कर रही है, ये ठीक नहीं है। आर यू गेटिंग इट? दैट इज द क्राइटेरिया, बिकॉज द मोस्ट फेमिलियर वुमेन इन अ मैन्स लाइफ इज नन अदर देन हिज ओन मदर। वो एक ऐसी लड़की लेडी है जिन जो आपका सब कुछ जानती है और जिनके सामने आपको कोई शर्म नहीं है। दैट इज द मोस्ट इंटीमेट रिलेशनशिप। यू नीड नॉट हाइड एनीथिंग फ्रॉम योर मदर, नीड नॉट हाइड एनीथिंग फ्रॉम योर मदर, है कि नहीं? आपके शरीर में कहीं कोई घाव हुआ है, यू हैव अ सोर और अ वुंड इन योर बॉडी, you will hide it from your girlfriend but not from your mother. So who is the most nearest and closest emotionally? It's the mother, obviously. Have you heard the story of Mahabharata in which Gandhari asked Duryodhana before the battle of Kurukshetra to come naked? You know, Gandhari knew that there will be a fight between Bhim and Duryodhana, and Bhim was stronger. Gada Yudh hoga. Now Gandhari had blindfolded herself all her life just to pay respect to her husband Dhritarashtra, who was blind. And Gandhari has acquired such power in her eyes that the day she would open her eyes, anybody who is standing in front of her will become Vajra. Vajra means the hardest object, right? So she ordered her son Duryodhana to bathe in the river Yamuna and come to her without any clothes, so that when she opens her eyes, all the power of eyes should make Duryodhana like Vajra, so that Bhim's Gada will have no effect on his body. Krishna realized it. Krishna told Duryodhana, after all, you're grown up. How can you go to your mother without any clothes? No, no, mother has said me no clothes. I can't wear any clothes. Krishna said, okay, don't wear any clothes. Just wear a banana leaf to cover your private part. Duryodhana thought that, okay, clothes are prohibited, leaves are not prohibited. So he wore a banana leaf and went. And that was the reason that when Gandhari opened her eyes, the whole body became Bajra, but not the thighs. They were soft and delicate. And when Bhim was fighting with Duryodhan, Duryodhan was laughing because no prahar of Bhim would affect him. So Krishna indicated, hit him in the thighs. And when Bhim started hitting the thighs, Duryodhana died. Okay? So you understand, this is Oedipus conflict and this is how children resolve it. Just a moment. Now, what happens in the case of girl child? In the case of girl child. In the case of girl child, the girl child, after her genital exploration, realizes that she has an anatomical deficiency in her body. I will change the page first of all. In the case of girl child, girl child realizes that she has or she is born with an anatomical deficiency in the body. she discovers an anatomical deficiency in the body in a sense that she does not have the male genitals. Okay? And this anatomical deficiency produces in the girl child sense of biological inferiority. That I am born with an incomplete body, I do not have the male genitals in my body. Something is missing in my body. An organ that is present in human is missing in my body. So that gives us a sense of biological inferiority. From here, controversy starts in Sigmund Freud's theory, when she talked about anatomical deficiency and sense of biological inferiority. So don't look at me, it is Freud's theory. फ्रॉइड की तरफ देखो, मेरी तरफ नहीं. मैं सिर्फ वही बता रहा हूं जो फ्रॉइड ने बताया था. ठीक है. And she realizes that my mother did not give me birth with a complete body. So she begins to believe that my mother is responsible for my incompleteness of body. She did not produce me as a boy, but produced me as a girl. And she's also aware that her mother also possesses the same kind of body. However, she also realizes that her mother does not have that sense of deprivation. Her mother does not have that sense of deprivation, that I don't have male genitals, because she has access to male genital because of the father. So mother also is born with the same deficiency in the body, but does not have sense of deprivation because of the father. So this produces love for father and jealousy for mother in the girl child. This produces love for father and jealousy for mother, and this kind of feelings are produced by the animal id. So the id produces penis envy towards the mother, because mother has access to father, and because of father she is not deprived, despite deficient but not deprived. She is deficient because she doesn't have the organ, but then she has access to the organ, and therefore penis envy. This is powered by id, and what gets alarmed? Ego. Ego produces within the girl child reality, threat, perception. To control this girl misbehaving with her mother, ego produces reality, threat, perception. That is fear of social rejection. If people come to know that why are you jealous of your mother, you will be rejected in the society. Reality, threat, perception is produced by ego. And this conflict is known as Electra conflict. So Oedipus conflict in boys, Electra conflict in girls. And these two antithetic emotions are fighting with each other, which is very disturbing. So the girl child also needs resolution. Okay? She needs to resolve. So penis envy versus reality, threat, perception. Now understand, for every girl, for every daughter, father is the first hero in life. Okay? I have noticed in my family, should I and my wife be sitting next to each other, there would be so much space around, but my daughter has to sit in between. घसका के अपनी माँ को अंदर बीच में बैठेगी. ठीक है? Very possessive. From her birth till today, whatever vaccines have been administered on my daughter, it wouldn't have been possible without me. She would want me for any vaccination. उसको लगता है पापा के गोद में सुई लगेगी तो दर्द नहीं होगा. They feel safe and secure with father. I remember when she was quite young and we used to take her in our lap to make her sleep. It took my wife 10 minutes to keep patting her back before she slept. And she would hold the neck of her mother tightly because she was apprehensive that I may fall while sleeping. But when I would do the same thing, it would take me only 3 minutes to make her fall asleep. And she would not hold my neck. She would just let her body loose. ऐसा बॉडी मुंह से उसका पानी गिरता रहता था ऐसे, ठीक है, आराम से, उसको एकदम निश्चिंत है कि पापा की गोद में कोई खतरा नहीं. ये back of the mind that plays, right? Now, girl child will resolve this conflict in the same method. Resolution will take place in the same method, that is identification with the same sexed parent. And here it is the mother. So let me acquire the values of my mother so that someday I get a man in my life like my father. Okay? And she begins to introject and imbibe the values of her mother. So mother's standards of behavior become self-set standards of behavior. Mother's criterion of judgment becomes one's own criterion of judgment. To what extent I should wear Western wear will depend upon to what extent my mother would like me to see. ठीक है? और इसलिए many husbands will directly scold the mother. तुमने इसमें संस्कार नहीं डाले. You have not taught her enough well. You know, look at your daughter. Okay, so mother becomes the ideal standards of behavior. Now, if you ask a woman who is at the age of marriage, what kind of man you are looking for in your life, one thing will come common from women in general, that is somebody with whom I can feel secure and support. Okay? Secure and support. So he should be stable career-wise. He should be able to give me a secure and supportive life. Now, today we are living in the age of gender equality. Women are equal like men. Why should a self-made woman expect security from a man? Can't she self-secure herself? But then she's looking for a fatherly husband. Okay? And this is Electra conflict. And girls who are not able to resolve Electra conflict, according to Sigmund Freud, this is not my personal view. Okay? According to Sigmund Freud, may develop lesbianism. If I can't have my father, I don't want any other man in my life. Okay? Now, it is only Freud who has given that there can be a phallic conflict resolution problem, the cause behind homosexuality and lesbianism. No other person in psychology relates it like that. So only according to Freud, homosexuality and lesbianism are abnormal behaviors. But from other perspectives of psychology, it is perfectly normal. It's just a matter of preference. Okay? So when you write about this theory, please mention according to Freud. It's not your personal view. Neither it is mine. Okay? Now, identification with father and mother, as the case may be, requires effort. And effort will require energy. And energy is already finite. Libido can neither be created nor can be destroyed. So we have libido inside the id. From this same libido, what got created? Ego. So now some amount of libido is transferred for formation of third structure of mind, which is known as superego. So for identification with father and mother, the boys and girls respectively will require energy. And this energy will come from the id itself, which forms the third structure of mind called superego. Superego is the guardian of our morality and value system that we have acquired from the same-sexed parent. Which we have acquired from the same-sex parent. So the journey of personality development began with id. And then somewhere in the anal stage, ego came into existence. And now in the phallic stage, superego comes into existence, the guardian of our morality. Okay? Now, superego consists of two structures, two parts: ego ideals and conscience. Our superego consists of two parts: ego ideals and conscience. Ego ideals are do's of behavior. What you should do. What are the ideal behaviors? What are the self ideals? Ego means self, self-awareness, self-concept, self-ideals. मुझे क्या करना चाहिए? And they generally develop from the rewards that we receive from our parents, from the appreciations that we receive from our caregivers. बहुत अच्छे बच्चे. Very good, very nice. So they become ideals of behavior to be repeated again and again. Ego ideals. And conscious represents the don'ts of behavior. जो कभी नहीं करना चाहिए. खबरदार, ये गलती नहीं करना. They develop from the punishments that we receive from our parents. चाहे जो हो जाए, ये नहीं करना है. ठीक है? Together they comprise our morality, do's and don'ts, and they guide our path towards the right direction. That is why superego or morality is also known as code of conduct. ठीक है? Code of conduct to be followed for the rest of the life. Code of conduct to be followed for the rest of the life. Now see, I can give you a personal example. Like, I have sort of unconditional love for my daughter. Okay? I can see her in every form. Even when she's not very friendly, she's angry, I can even love that form. But I can't tolerate her when she misbehaves with her mother. अगर माँ पे गुस्सा दिखा रही है, ऊंची आवाज में बात कर रही है, मुझसे बर्दाश्त नहीं होता. मेरी वाइफ कहती है, आप तो हर चीज में उसका साथ देते हैं, इस बात में आपको इतना मिर्ची क्यों लगता है? मुझे खुद नहीं पता क्यों मिर्ची लगता है. Probably because that is a value that I have acquired from my father, that you should be respectful towards your elders. तो उस बात पे कई बार मैं चिल्ला उठता हूँ. हाथ तो कभी नहीं उठाया, चिल्ला उठता हूँ. And she starts crying. अगर मैं थोड़ी सी ऊंची आवाज में बात कर दूं तो रोना शुरू. कोई भी मुझे कुछ बोल दे, मैं नहीं रोऊंगी, तुम कैसे बोल दी? You know, this kind of expectation. So I fail to realize कि ये अचानक knee and jerk reaction मेरे से कैसे निकलता है. And that happens whenever I see somebody misbehaving with the elders, I just lose my temper. Maybe that is a value that I have acquired from my father. Okay? Because my father was very respectful towards his elders, towards his superiors. बहुत ज़्यादा. So now I will invite your questions before moving ahead to the next stage. Yeah, there is a question, I guess, long question. Okay. Okay, yeah, Surbhi. Can you speak with me? Can you talk with me? Because it takes a lot of time to read these long messages. Just raise your hand in the participant box and you can talk with me, because everybody else will also hear you. So maybe this question might be in mind of many other people. Doubts from previous lecture. Free energy is measured by level of satisfaction, but what is life energy? Life energy is the other name for libido. Libido means life energy. The energy to fulfill your wishes is called libido or life energy. They are the same thing. Difference between bound energy and free energy. Okay. Difference is bound energy is the libido with which we are born and which is locked inside us. This energy, as long as not invested, makes us unstable and restless. That is bound energy, and that is why the name bound energy. Free energy is once the libido has been invested in pleasure-seeking behavior, we are free from that restlessness. That is why the energy after transformation becomes free energy, which tells us that how much satisfied are we with our lives. Psychic energy and libido are same. About manifest energy, there is nothing called manifest energy. Dream has two content. The original content is known as latent content, and what we see in the dream is called manifest content. I would have been happy if you had asked this question, but it seems that you are not in the class. Okay, is it possible that somebody is not attending the class but sending questions in the chat room? Or maybe through somebody. Okay, it seems so. No problem. Surbhi, are you there? Why aren't you raising your hand and speaking to me? मैं इतना डरावना हूं क्या? अच्छा, ऑडियो इशू. अच्छा, no problem, sir. Okay. Any other question from the class? अभी मैं आऊंगा उस पर. ईगो आपको गलती करने से रोकता है, सुपर ईगो नहीं रोकता. सुपर ईगो गलती होने के बाद आपको पीटता है. ये अंतर है. वो ग्लानि पैदा करता है, पश्चाताप पैदा करता है. ठीक है, मैं उस पर भी आऊंगा. व्हेन आई once again read all the levels of conscious, you will get your answer. Yeah. हाँ, very nice question coming from the class, that if there is no father, father has died, then whom to identify with? Or in case there is no mother, mother has died, whom to identify with? Okay, so in case of a boy child where the father is missing in the family, the boy child will identify with his mother and show a reasonable degree of feminine traits in his personality. Okay, so he will be quite tender, gentle, soft. And even in families where mothers are dominating, the boy child is likely to identify with the mother instead of father. Okay, and you will find that such the boy child will identify with father in a subordinated role with the mother. So these boys, when they grow up into adult, I am not saying this, Freud used this word, they will be slaves of their spouses. जिसको हिंदी में जोरू का गुलाम कहते हैं. अगर माँ डोमिनेटिंग है तो बाप के साथ आइडेंटिफाई करने के बाद दे विल बिकम स्लेव ऑफ द स्पाउसेस. ठीक है. एंड इन केस both mother and father are missing, the child is being reared in orphanage, then they will identify with the warden. Okay, but these are exceptional. We will talk about general. Generally, in a family, there is mother, there is father, there is kid. Okay. Okay. Yeah. These things are happening below the threshold of conscious. So, below the threshold of conscious, everybody is alike. A 90-year-old and a 5-year-old are alike in terms of subconscious and unconscious. The only difference lies in conscious. Conscious is your experience, is your knowledge that you gain with age. But subconscious, unconscious, it has nothing to do with age. Are you getting it? इसीलिए it is not too much. तो ये होता है, it's a natural reaction. And I said, because you cannot rationalize certain forbidden urges, therefore you do not allow it to surface out and you keep it forgotten. That is why nobody will remember that he or she had such a feeling towards the parent. But it happens. Now see, Sigmund Freud invited controversy when he said that superego of boy child is stronger than the girl child. He said superego or morality of boys is stronger than that of girls. Now here comes gender bias. He says that Oedipus conflict is very strong when compared with Electra. Let us revisit the conflict. See, in case of Oedipus, the two emotions which are in conflict are very powerful. In one hand, there is sexual desire, very powerful emotion. And in the other hand, there is castration anxiety, another very powerful emotion. Kids are afraid of injection. How terrible this thought might be that I may be deprived of my genital. Somebody coming with a knife and cutting my genitals. How fearful thought it is. So both emotions are very strong. So Oedipus conflict is very strong. Now compare it with Electra. In Electra, the two emotions are, one is envy, that is jealousy. Jealousy is in no match with sexual attraction. It is a weaker emotion. And reality threat perception. Now tell me how much a 6-year-old girl would be really worried and concerned about social rejection? How much would she be concerned about social boycott or social rejection? This is also very weak. So Electra conflict is very weak. And therefore resolution that is required in the case of boy child is stronger. So boys have to go for a more rigorous resolution as compared to girls. Girls, in the case of girl child, the conflict is weak, therefore the resolution is weak. In case of boy child, the Oedipus conflict is strong, therefore resolution is strong, and hence morality of boys is superior than morality of girls. Sigmund Freud. मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूं, मेरी तरफ मत देखो ऐसे आप लोग. सिगमंड फ्रॉइड बोल रहे हैं. भैया उंगली भी कटने का डर तो होता है, ठीक है, उतना तो सेंसेशन होता है. No, he is feeling pleasure from the genitals. So he is just thinking that the reason, the cause of this pleasure may be eliminated. Are you getting it? हो सकता है genitally eliminate कर दिया जाए. This is what he is feeling. He does not know the term castration at all. This term has been coined, given by the adults. But ये तो डर होगा कि कहीं कुछ गड़बड़ ना हो जाए मेरे साथ. ठीक है, देखो कान तो उसका पकड़ा ही होगा इस तक, उसको तो पता ही है कि दर्द क्या होता है. तो that's the thing. That's the anxiety which they feel. Okay, now my open question to this class, I invite all of you to express your views before I move forward and tell you what eventually happened after this. Be honest. See, you are psychologist. You have to be open to every type of experience. मैं जो भी बोल रहा हूँ, सिगमंड फ्रॉइड जो भी बोल रहे हैं, बहुत weird लग रहा होगा आपको, लगना भी चाहिए. लेकिन मैं आपसे openly पूछ रहा हूँ. Express your true feelings. The boys and girls. Forget that you are sitting in company of girls, or girls forget there are boys in the class. You just tell me, do you agree that men have a stronger morality as compared to women? I want an open discussion on this. I give you 2 minutes for this. Think and then participate. सिगमंड फ्रॉइड का कहना है कि मर्दों का नैतिकता औरतों से ज्यादा मजबूत है. आप इसको स्वीकार करते हैं, नहीं करते हैं? क्या आपका आंसर क्या है? करते हैं तो क्यों करते हैं, नहीं करते तो क्यों करते हैं? ओके, नो तो बोल दिया है, कारण भी बताना पड़ेगा. फाजिला, हाँ, नो तो कारण बताना पड़ेगा. मैं आपको 2 मिनट इसलिए तो दे रहा हूं कि सोचिए कारण क्या है. आइडियलाइज करते हैं. ओके, सो हियर इज एन ओपिनियन कमिंग फ्रॉम द क्लास. विकास कह रहे हैं कि इंडिया में पेट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी है. इंडिया हैज पेट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी एंड अंडर द पेट्रियार्कल सिस्टम men are seen to be superior and more right in decision making, right? So men or the fathers are idolized in the family. Okay, yes. So in that sense, they should be more restricted. Women should be more restricted and therefore more moral. In which case, this should be the reason. Huh? Hmm. After becoming mothers, they become superior in morality. Women become superior in morality after becoming mothers. But as long as they are not mothers, boys are superior in morality. So this comes another opinion. Okay. I'll come to the chat room also. Chat room, just wait for a moment because first let me generate the answers. Yeah. Any other person? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Women are more expressive, so they are more open, transparent, and therefore more moral. Okay. Okay. They show their emotion, they exhibit their feelings, so there is nothing hidden. So they are more right. They can't be wrong and yet be expressive. Right? This is what you want to say. Okay, yes. Okay. Okay, because women show greater adjustment because they have to marry and shift to another family, adapt to the values, so they're more adaptable and hence they're more morally flexible. Okay, agreed. Okay, anything else? Yeah, yes. Huh. Okay. Okay. अधिक होता है. Okay. 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 Another point of view is Freud is right as far as phallic stage is concerned, that boys have superior morality, stronger morality because of castration anxiety. But as the children grow up, the restriction for girls increase and therefore they are more controlled, they're more restricted in their choices. So they show superior morality later on. Okay. Yes, आप पहले बताइए फिर मैं आता हूँ. हाँ. बिल्कुल नहीं सोचती है, बिल्कुल नहीं सोचती नहीं है. ठीक है, सीधा बार्गेन करती है. बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल दिया. He has given a very good example. He says that when we go for shopping, men are likely to think that this man is sitting from the morning till night to sell his products to earn for his family. So I should not bargain. I should give him the price demanded. Whereas the girls who go for shopping, they will think that my family is being run by my husband or my father. He's the sole bread earner. I should try to save his money. You have given me the most authentic answer. Okay, and therefore she will bargain. Okay. Yes. Achha, why do you think so? If you look at men, men invest their whole life serving women. So I respect and salute your servitude. Okay, okay. Okay. And wives, do they not care for their husbands? Okay. Got your point. Got your point. Okay, so I will read some chats which have come. Fazila is saying, I think boys are more sensitive than women. They just appear strong, but they are not sensitive. TG का मतलब क्या होता है? Short form. They are more sensitive. TG. Okay. Neha writes, huh? Acha, than girls. Together. Short form of? They're more sensitive to girls. Acha. Surbhi writes, acha nahi, Surbhi ka ho gaya. This is Neha writes, guys, this is the link for unofficial group. Huh? Okay. Harshat is writing, strong repression girls have, libido is more, so ego building is more. Sabna is right, I feel no, because mostly they somewhere consider themselves stronger and hence superior, and it is eventually leads to mindset of freedom of showing aggressive nature. Okay. Dakhan says, sir, the ego counters the immoral desire of a boy, which is repressed by Oedipus conflict. And as we discussed, superego does not control such desire. It makes us repent. The theory of morality based upon superego is confusing me. Okay, sir, I guess both girls and boys have equal morality. I would say either of them is superior as moral, embedded into individual or based on living environment. Okay. Mohammad Fazila is writing, men also bargain, sir, not only women. नहीं, सबसे क्लासिक आंसर आया. They devote their entire life in serving women. देखो तो कोई समझा ही नहीं दर्द को. Yes, Neha. Neha, you add to it. Neha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So regarding the question whether men or women have a higher morality, I think it should be equal for both. However, what I would add to it is that if you see socially in our culture, the morality of women is more talked of. If you see the even religious books,
Yes.
those things. So I think for women it is more imbibed into them since birth than it is for a male. So I think because of that, it could be possible that women have a higher morality than men, because we are time and again from birth reminded of the morality of our character being, or our personality being
Exactly.
dependent on the morality.
Exactly. If we look at superego, superego is made up of two components: ego ideals and what? Conscience. Now, my question to this class, which one of the two is more significant morally? What you should do or what you should not do? What you should not do is more important. Now, men are always after what you should do. And there are no inhibitions, or there are lesser inhibitions over men in terms of what you should not do. And they justify that I should not be doing this, but I am compelled to do this because I have to do this. Okay? So ब्रेड अर्नर के नाम पे, रोजगार के नाम पे, बाहरी समाज के नाम पे बहुत कुछ ऐसा कर जाते हैं जो मोरली गलत है, लेकिन जस्टिफिकेशन क्या होता है? आफ्टर ऑल आई एम डूइंग इट फॉर माय फैमिली, व्हाट आई शुड डू. Women, on the other hand, live a restricted life from very early age, and they prefer in what I should not do. Now, lot of research took place in this area. Sigmund Freud's own daughter, Anna Freud, objected to her father over the issue of morality. And many researches took place in psychology to compare between morality of men and women, and eventually what came out, that there is a difference in morality between men and women. But the difference is not quantitative. The difference is qualitative. The only difference, or the central difference, is that men's morality is outwardly directed. Women's morality is inwardly directed. So for men, social obligations are more important than family commitments. मर्द की जुबान दे दिया, तो जुबान दे दिया तो फिर फैमिली की खुशी भी कुर्बान कर देंगे उसको. So men's morality is outwardly oriented. Social obligations are more important than family commitments. For women, family commitments stand prior to social obligations. So the girlfriend and boyfriend meet up planning in the park at 4 o'clock. The boyfriend is waiting, the girlfriend does not turn up. The boyfriend is angry. He's complaining. You don't love me. You are not trustworthy. And the girl says, you will not understand. I had a family engagement. How could I leave my family? The boy will never understand. That's the reason I appreciated your answer, that women bargain because they think about the earning member of the family. My father is earning. It is his hard-earned money. I should not let it lose. Okay? Man is thinking he is earning for his family. Let him earn, make some money. Outward orientation, इनवर्ड ओरिएंटेशन. सिर्फ क्वालिटेटिव डिफरेंस है, क्वांटिटेटिव डिफरेंस कुछ भी नहीं है. ठीक है. बचपन में आपको एक बहुत खतरनाक सवाल पूछा गया होगा. इन योर चाइल्डहुड, अ वेरी बैड क्वेश्चन यू माइट हैव फेस्ड. मम्मी पापा में किसको ज्यादा पसंद करते हो? कितना गंदा क्वेश्चन है ये बच्चों से पूछने का. कैसे बच्चा जवाब देगा बताओ? ये कोई बात हुआ पूछने का? अच्छा, बच्चे बड़े स्मार्ट हैं, वो कभी एक का नाम नहीं लेंगे. किसी बच्चे को सुना कोई एक नाम लिया हो? ले भी लेंगे तो फिर कवर अप करेंगे. ठीक है. So thank you that you participated in the discussion. Okay. Now, we will talk more on morality as we move forward. Okay. In other theories. Now, after phallic stage, once children enter their teenage, that is 13 to 19 years of age, they become adolescent. They can no longer masturbate in public because their exposure to public domain has increased. So children are not any longer limited to their homes. Now they are open to society, to schools, later on colleges. So earlier they had to just hide from their family members. Now they have to hide from the whole society. And it is very difficult to release the libido in such a hidden manner. Are you getting it? So with increased exposure in social life, it becomes difficult for children to play with their genitals. So they need an alternative mechanism to release the libido. Some other way, which is socially acceptable and yet pleasurable. They require some alternate mechanism. And this begins the fourth stage called latency. The teenage. Okay. 13 to 19. The adolescence. Latency. So 11 year onwards, you can say. Now, what is latency? Latency is characterized by sublimation. Latency is characterized by sublimation. Sublimation means releasing one's pent-up feeling in a socially creative manner. Releasing one's pent-up feelings in socially creative manner. In a socially creative manner. Thank you. Now, what do I mean by saying that? Shakespeare was betrayed in love. He was a broken heart. He had a lot of pain in his heart, a lot of anger in his mind. But instead of releasing his anger by using a sword, he used a pen. And he wrote whatever he felt, which made him Shakespeare. That is why he is known as King of Sublime Tragedy. He sublimated his pent-up feelings, his emotions, in a socially created manner. In a socially creative manner. So instead of resorting to violence, he resorted to sublimated violence. When he wrote about his complaint grievance, about the pain that he is going through. Okay? King of Sublime Tragedy. Such is sublimation. So what children do exactly after the age of 11? They try out their hands. They try their hands on different types of activities. They would try the game of cricket. They would try soccer. They would try playing chess. They will try playing carom, ludo. They will try music. They will try acting. They will try different kinds of activity to discover which is the activity through which they can release their libido. And they will discover their interest in this age. So some children will love singing. So they will invest much of their free time singing. And that singing will give them pleasure, which is sexual in nature, which they can do endlessly without any fatigue or boredom. Now, how good they are singers, I do not know that. But they will enjoy it. एक आता है डोरेमोन, देखा है आपने? उसमें एक जियान है कलाकार, ठीक है? उसको प्लेजर मिलता, वो गाता है. बाकी लोगों के लिए डिस्प्लेजर हो जाता है. But Sachin Tendulkar discovered his sexual pleasure in playing cricket. So at the age of 16, he told his father, Likhai padhai, studies are not my cup of tea. And his father understood him and pushed him towards cricket. And that is why he became the best batsman of the world. Lata Mangeshkar at the age of 11 conveyed her father that, Papa, I can't go to school. That's not my cup of tea. And Papa understood. Brothers supported Hridaynath Mangeshkar, and today we have Lata Mangeshkar, the nightingale of the world. Isn't it? So, according to Freud, parents should be monitoring the interest of the children at the age of 11 onwards. And they should not force something on the children. They should promote and encourage their children on the same field, because that is where the child finds the venue for libidinal release. And if you discover the activity through which you can release your libido, you are going to be a master in that activity. Why? Because you can do it endlessly. The amount of practice that you can give in that activity is endless. And what you practice, you become perfect in that. That's the reason that when you came to ask me that, sir, should I choose psychology? I said, discover your interest. If you have interest, there can be no one like you. If you do not have interest, anybody can be more than you. Okay? So, period of latency is the period of sublimation. We discover our interest and we channelize our libido in that direction. Okay. Now, if you have not so far got introduced with your interest, if you do not have any hobby discovered so far, then you can yet discover it. How? just see what are those activities which you learn very fast, and what are those activities which you can do almost effortlessly. Remember, that is the activity for which you are meant for. That is what will be interesting to you. ठीक है? तो अभी भी आप अपना इंटरेस्ट डिस्कवर कर सकते हैं अगर नहीं किया हो तो. ठीक है, हो सकता है कि मौका ही नहीं मिला, माता पिता ने मौका नहीं दिया, पढ़ो 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 करते करते आपको हर भेड़ को एक ही दिशा में चला दिया. ठीक है. So latency is the age of sublimation, and then comes the fifth stage, which is called genital stage. Genital stage comes from adulthood, that is 20 years onwards. So Sigmund Freud's theory came from a very traditional society of Vienna, where 20 years was considered to be age group of full grown adults. May I switch on this AC? Full grown adults. Okay. So 20 years was the age of marriage. So Freud says that once the individual becomes an adult, he gets the sanction from the society to get into marital relationship and then enjoy sex the way it should be, through the genitals. So this marks the beginning of genital stage. So the grown-up adult need not always sublimate, that is, release the pent-up feeling in a socially creative manner. He is given sanction to engage in sexual activity after marriage, so he can release his libido through sexual behavior, genital stage onwards. So Sigmund Freud recognized 5 stages of development of personality, which he named as psychosexual stages of development. Okay? So now, eventually, at the end of these 5 stages, the personality that we have developed will comprise of 3 structures, namely id, ego, and superego. And each of these structures have different functionalities. They have different functions to perform. Okay? Yeah, Amol and Partha, I will come to your question. Just give me some moment. They have different functions or functionalities. And because of this difference of functionality, they are always in mutual conflict. For example, id is responsible for producing desires, which are mostly forbidden. Ego makes you reasonably satisfy your desires, that is acceptable to the social norms. So ego provides you with reasons for doing things. Ego makes you reasonable. भाई ऐसे ही नहीं कर दिया, कुछ वजह से किया. Ego provides you with the valid reason. And superego makes us a moral agent. So because of the difference in functions, they are always in a state of conflict, which is known as intra-psychic conflict. They are always in a state of conflict, which is known as intra-psychic conflict, mutually fighting with each other. Okay. And sometimes the id may emerge strong. In case id is the strongest at a given point of time, we are driven by the animal inside and we behave like animals. Sometimes the ego may be powerful, and that time we behave in a reasonable and rational manner. Sometimes the superego may be powerful, we behave like gods. So within the same individual, there are 3 personalities. One driven by id, another by ego, and another by superego. So psychologists never judge a human being as good or bad. if somebody appears to be bad, it's simply that his id was dominating at that point of time. So you met a person when his id was dominating, you will think ye to Ravan hai. The same person may appear as Ram in some other occasion, or maybe to some other person. Okay? So when you are driven by your id, you behave like Ravan. When you are driven by your ego, you become Maryada Purushottam Ram. And when you are driven by your super ego, you behave like Parampita Parmeshwar God. Okay? And this is intrapsychic conflict. Now I will take up the questions. Yes, Amol, your question.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, in the fourth stage, we have seen that a person have to select some kind of activity which gives his pleasure.
Person?
Person has to select some kind of activities which yield pleasure. And avoid masturbate at that stage.
No. They do masturbate, but less frequently as compared to what they used to do before. Now they have developed superior ways of releasing the libido, that is pursuing their interest.
So, sir, why is this happening that some of the people have adverse addiction?
Adverse?
Addiction?
No, it is because they have not yet explored their interest. Okay, and therefore they are not busy in doing anything else. And that is what leads to perversion. So if somebody has explored the interest, he has no time. He has no time. Most of his libido will be released in the interest related activity. Yeah.
And sir, another question is that what is the difference between super ego and spirit soul? Because they both are indicating one to the right direction.
They are same. Plato talked about spirited soul. Okay. Sigmund Freud has renamed it superego.
Okay, sir. That's thank you, sir.
Yeah, Fazil, I'll explain you. Just wait. Partha.
Sir, the addiction kind, the alcohol or cigarette smoking, all those are happening in this age also. So can people release by this?
Cigarette smoking, alcohol are ways of releasing your libido. Yes, that is why addiction also takes place in the latency. Not only you discover your interest, but you also discover your addictions in the same age.
Yes.
ठीक है? सबसे ज्यादा लोग ड्रग एडिक्ट्स इसी एज में बनते हैं. सबसे ज्यादा. और खासकर people who are belonging to the lower strata of the society, children coming from lower socio-economic status who are living in slum, they become smack addicted. दिल्ली में इनको स्मैक ही कहा जाता है. यही लोग होते हैं जो चोरी करते हैं. ये 100 रुपए के लिए किसी को चाकू भी मार देंगे, किसी अनजान आदमी को मार देंगे, इसलिए इनको ये पकड़े भी नहीं जाते क्योंकि कोई दुश्मनी साबित नहीं होता है. मान लो इफ आई हैव टू किल समबडी, आई मे बी कॉट बिकॉज आई नो दैट पर्सन, people know that I know that person, but if I give a smacky 500 rupees note और उसको चाकू दे दिया मैंने, वो कहीं भी जाके ठोक देगा. वो मुझे भी नहीं जानता, वो उसे भी नहीं जानता, वो मार देगा. पुलिस को पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि किस मोटिव से मर्डर हुआ. Are you getting it? तो ये क्राइम भी करते हैं. चलती गाड़ी का मिरर खोल के लेके छीन के भाग जाएंगे. यू नो, मेरे ऑफिस में एक बार घुसे थे, सीपीयू रखा हुआ था, सीपीयू छोड़ दिया, मॉनिटर कंप्यूटर को उठा के लेके चला. ठीक है, दे कांट कंट्रोल देयर अर्ज ना, इतना जबरदस्त एडिक्शन. सो एनीवेज, हाँ, in हाँ, she develops love for father and therefore jealousy for mother. So less love for father, more jealousy for mother, because she also has that deficiency in the body, but she is not feeling deprived. ठीक है. I'm coming to that. Now, out of these three structures, it is the ego that is under greatest stress. Ego faces the greatest amount of anxiety and stress. No, Shabna, there is no such thing that boys have more libido than girls. No. It varies individual to individual regardless of gender. अगर आप लिबिडो की बात करेंगे तो मुझे लगता है हमारे देश में इंदिरा गांधी से ज्यादा लिबिडो किसी में था ही. था क्या? मदर टेरेसा से ज्यादा लिबिडो किसमें हो सकता है? क्या? पागल हो सकता है, क्रिमिनल हो सकता है, सीरियल किलर हो सकता है, ठीक है, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस कर सकता है अगर लिबिडो रिलीज ना हो. So ego is the most stressed out of the three structures. In one hand, the ego has to control the id, delay it, and satisfy its gratification in a reasonable manner. This is one duty of ego. And in case ego has failed to control the id, then superego will come punishing the ego. Then superego will come punishing the ego. So it has to serve two masters. One is the animal, another is the god. So it faces greatest amount of load, pressure, anxiety. Okay. Now, before I move ahead, I must show you the location. We know about the levels of mind. We have conscious, we have subconscious, and we have unconscious. Right? Now, what should be the location of ego? Conscious, because ego has to keep you informed where you are, what you are supposed to do. So much of the ego is located in conscious. Much of the ego is located in conscious. What should be the location of id? Unconscious. It has to be kept at a deeper side, invisible from public domain. And when ego and id come under conflict, as we saw in the phallic conflicts, Oedipus and Electra, what was the product of that conflict? Superego. So superego will be somewhere in between, in the subconscious. Sorry. Okay? So what happens when we do a mistake? It is because our ego failed to control the id. But superego does not correct us or stop us. But once we have committed the mistake, then the superego comes to punish us. So we feel guilty after doing the sin, not before doing the sin. If anyone could feel guilty before doing the sin, nobody will do any sin. तो इंसान पाप करेगा ही नहीं. Problem क्या है? That feeling of guilt, feeling of reproach, feeling of remorse comes only after having committed the behavior. ठीक है? तो ईगो को बहुत टेंशन है, वो बहुत एंजाइटी में है. So ego has to deal with three types of anxieties. Now this is a very important concept. Anxieties of ego. It has to deal with three types of anxiety. Reality anxiety. Neurotic anxiety. And morality anxiety. Reality anxiety, neurotic anxiety, and morality anxiety. चल रहा है? हाँ, थैंक यू. Okay, let's have a look at this. Reality anxiety. Reality anxiety takes place when we are worried and concerned for having committed a mistake, and therefore we are expecting a punishment. So when we have done an id-driven behavior and we expect a punishment as a consequence, and we are feeling anxiety, this anxiety is normal and it is known as reality anxiety. Say as a student, you do not study for the whole year. You are driven in id activities. Driven by your id, you are eating, sleeping, roaming around. And then before the exam, you are feeling anxiety that I may fail. Now you should feel this anxiety, it is reality. There is a real threat that you fail. So driven by your id, you are riding a bike in full speed, breaking the speed limit, and then you jump the signal. Driven by id. अरे अहम ब्रह्मास्मि, मुझे कौन रोकेगा? आपने सिग्नल तोड़ दिया, पुलिस वाले ने आपको नंबर नोट किया और आपने देख लिया पुलिस वाले ने नंबर नोट किया. Challan is expected to be posted in your address. So now you feel anxiety. This is reality anxiety. It is normal. You should feel that. ठीक है? आपको होना चाहिए anxiety. But the other two are abnormal. Neurotic anxiety. Neurotic anxiety is a persistent worry of ego. Neurotic anxiety is a persistent worry of ego that I should not reveal the animal in public. I should not reveal what I wish to conceal. So people should not know that there is an animal breathing inside me. My reality is that I am an id-driven organism. People should not know it. This persistent concern of ego, कि अंदर छुपा जानवर लोगों को दिख ना जाए, इसको कहते हैं न्यूरोटिक एंजाइटी. So people who suffer from neurotic anxiety, they will avoid socializing with other people, just out of the fear कि कहीं हमारे अंदर का जानवर पब्लिक ना हो जाए. They will be shy and timid kind of people. They will not socialize with people. While talking to people belonging to opposite gender, they will avoid making eye contact. They will frequently blink their eyes as if they are trying to conceal the lust in their eyes. उनको लगता है कि हमारे आंखों में लोगों को हवस ना दिख जाए, तो आंखें पिटपिटाएंगे, नीचे देखेंगे, आंखों में आंखें नहीं मिलाएंगे while talking to opposite gender. So girls generally would think that boys who are shy are very sober. A sober and gentleman will look into your eyes while talking to you because he has nothing to hide, right? So a lot of impressions are getting changed, isn't it? This is neurotic anxiety. And worse is the morality anxiety. इससे खराब तो कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता. Morality anxiety is exaggerated or disproportional sense of guilt. Morality anxiety involves disproportionate sense of guilt for having committed an id-driven behavior. Morality anxiety is disproportionate sense of guilt for having committed an id-driven behavior. Sense of guilt is normal, but disproportionate sense of guilt, it's not normal. So you went inside a temple and you are offering prayer to the god or goddess. Suddenly an irresistible erotic thought ran across your head and you felt excessive guilt. हे भगवान, भगवान के सामने मेरे मन में ये क्या विचार आ गया? ठीक है, कान पकड़ा, जीभ काटा, फिर भी चैन नहीं, दिन भर परेशान, ये क्या सोच लिया मैंने मंदिर के प्रांगण में. ठीक है, फिर आप क्या करते हैं? रात को 3 बजे उठते हैं, सुबह के 3 बजे उठते हैं. Winter night, you get up in 3 o'clock and then you bathe in chilled water and then you start rolling on the road to go to the temple. प्रायश्चित ऐसे ही होगा. रास्ते में एक ट्रक आया, आपको प्रायश्चित करवा के चला गया. ठीक है, ये है डिस्प्रोपोर्शनेट सेंस ऑफ गिल्ट. ठीक है, You know why Khajuraho temples have those sexual symbols before entry? Just to let all those thoughts pass through you. You win over those thoughts, and once you have won over those sexual thoughts, then you enter the temple. अब मैंने अपने इंद्रियों पे विजय पा लिया है, इसलिए वो इरोटिक इमेजेस खजुराहो के टेम्पल के बाहर बनाए गए थे. ठीक है. So anyways, this is morality anxiety. No, one of my colleagues had morality anxiety. अभी बहुत बड़ा अफसर है रेलवे में, अभी दिल्ली पोस्टिंग है उसका. ठीक है. आप लोगों को बुलेट ट्रेन वही देगा. ठीक है. IRTS है. तो हम लोग 3 दोस्त हुआ करते थे. We were 3 friends in college. 3 musketeers. Now, in our second year graduation, we realized that now we are 18 plus in age. So being 18 plus in age, we are in adult age group. So we have all the moral right to watch an English movie. समझो उसमें दूरदर्शन के अलावा और कोई चैनल होता नहीं था. एक ही लिबिडो रिलीज का चैनल था, that was English movie. ठीक है. Now it was a small town and English movie used to run only in the morning show, 10 o'clock show. So we pooled the money for tickets and we took our bicycles. We wrapped our faces with towels. Small town है भाई, पहचान लेगा लोग तो. And then we went to watch the movie. When we reached the hall, we found everybody was in towels. कोई किसी को नहीं पहचाना. कौन है भाई? We bought the ticket, we stepped inside, and there used to be a torchman, you know, who would make people sit in the respective chairs. अभी भी होता है torchman hall में किसी किसी में. तो torch देखे हम लोग को बैठा है. The lights got switched off and the movie started, so we removed the towels. We kept on watching the TV patiently for 1.5 hours, because in these kind of movies, unfortunately, there is some story also in which no one is interested. After 1.5 hours, those auspicious moments started, for which we went there. And this third person, he suddenly rose up from his chair. Nahi! पीछे वाले बैठ. The torchman came and he took all 3 of us outside the hall. दूध के दांत टूटे नहीं है, मूवी देखने आएंगे. भाग यहां से. हम लोगों को भगाया वहां से. पूरे रास्ते भर, whole way back to our home, this man was cursing us. तुम लोगों ने मुझसे पाप करवाया, वो करवाया जो कभी नहीं करना था, ये दिखवा दिया, वो दिखवा दिया. मैंने कहा कि 1 मिनट भाई सुन, टिकट के पैसे तूने दिए थे? बोला हाँ. तो जब पैसे दे रहा था तो क्या सोचा, माता के जागरण में जा रहे हैं? Morality anxiety. Now he is married, happily married. Whenever I meet his wife, I tell this story to his wife. और वो अरे बस करो यार, बस करो. Is there anybody in the class with morality anxiety? It's very painful. Disproportionate sense of guilt. Right now, Shabna, it's not exclusively Sigmund Freud's concept that id and ego. This is a very ancient concept which was floated first time by Plato. ठीक है. Bharat is asking, sir, term idiot comes from id? No. Very creative thinking. Is there anything like boys have more libido than girls? No. Sir, can you explain what happens when ego is stronger than id and superego? Okay, then the person is most reasonable. Okay, very reasonable, very sociable. Okay. So I think this will be all for the day. Huh? Yeah, please. Then the person will be perverted. Perverted, totally out of control. हाँ, पूरा psychopath. Yeah, serial killer. कुछ भी हो सकता है वो. फिर उसको कंट्रोल के बाहर. ठीक है. No, they will just pretend to be very nice to others. They are the Casanovas. ठीक है, लेकिन एकदम सेल्फिश, एकदम जानवर, मतलब खुल्ला शिकार करेगा वो, ठीक है, उसको कंट्रोल करना बहुत मुश्किल है. How can ego be made stronger? Okay, that is through increasing your mental stamina by self-practice. Practice over self-control can make your ego stronger. How to control moral anxiety? You have to just accept this is natural and examine your thoughts and desires with adult reality. You have to consider yourself as a natural being before you consider yourself as a social being. Only then you will be able to overcome this moral anxiety. Moral anxiety is mostly created by the socially significant people who are around us. वो बताते रहते हैं कि कितना गलत किया. Yeah, Neha?
So my question was with respect to the resolution of the two
Your voice is breaking,
complexes
Neha.
we studied.
Neha, your voice is breaking. Can you hold
Oedipus
it
and
close?
Electra. So we studied that with. So now can you hear me?
No, your
Hello?
voice is breaking. Retry.
So am I audible now?
Yeah, but then with breaking voice. Or you may type if you have to ask something. Meanwhile, Partha. Yes, Partha? Nothing? Okay. Neurotic anxiety is the persistent concern that I should not end up showing the animal side, the id of my personality. People should not discover that I am so id-driven organism. To a certain extent, yes. Neurotic anxiety can make people introverted, shy away. Okay. Yeah, Fazila, to control moral anxiety, there is only one formula. You have to give yourself the liberty to think, liberty to fail. Only then can you pass. Okay. Yes, Shabna.
So, this is a very general doubt that who decides the morality or what is right or wrong?
Society. Society and values instilled by our parents and teachers.
Sir, how to overcome the neurotic anxiety?
Yes, Shabna, you were saying something.
Yes, so it depends on individual to individual. It can change the morality,
Why
the
not?
values,
The moment you
the base.
move above, the moment you become an independent moral agent, you do not care about what society has to say or what people have to say. Then you take your independent decision. That is the highest level of moral development, which we shall discuss when we discuss Kohlberg's theory.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yes, Partha, go ahead.
Sir, how to overcome the neurotic anxiety?
Just socialize and stop feeling that how people are going to take you. Make eye contact.
But
Okay,
sir, it's happened the critical in the society. Everybody is everybody, not most of the people are critical about the others. So it's happened that whenever we talk something with others, they can find out some difficulty or some the limitation on me.
That is what I said. Give
Yes,
yourself the liberty to be criticized, to fail, if you want to pass. I'll tell you, NVC, that is non-verbal communication. Most of them, 90% of the non-verbal communication are free from cultural variations. Only postures are different. Like you said, looking down. Looking down may be a sign of respect that is given in Oriental culture, but eye contact is an universal non-verbal communication. It's an universal NVC. You do make eye contact while talking to other people. And especially In personal relationship, you are supposed to make eye contact. Say, do you still look down when you're talking to your friends? No, na. Oriental culture, maybe you will not look down while speaking to your friends. Now, suppose you are speaking to a friend who is a girl and you're not making eye contact. This shows neurotic anxiety. Yeah, but person with neurotic anxiety will not make eye contact even after developing friendship. Okay, ये problem है. Yeah. Hmm. No, we are talking about Freud, and so far none of the established researchers have questioned this theory on the tenet which you are saying that according to an article. These are by fluke articles they keep coming. Just ignore them. उसमें truth नहीं. We will discuss the criticism of Freud tomorrow onwards when we bring to you the neo-Freudians, how they objected to different facets of Freud's theory and how they improved upon it. ठीक है? Sabra, to certain extent, yes, it is accepted. To certain extent, there are objections. Tomorrow we will discuss the objections. Yeah, Pratibha.
Sir, the diagram which you showed about the locations about ego, superego, and id. So you showed an interaction between superego and id. So id, which was lying in unconscious. So can we say
No. There is no interaction. It's just transient. Boundaries are transient. That is why.
Okay.
It's just boundaries are transient. That is why.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. See you then. Meet you tomorrow.